2, 3. Hi, this is Kendall with High Creek Software. I wanted to take some time today to go over an app that I've been working on. It's kind of in the MVP stage, or the minimum viable product stage, so it's not completely done, but it's good enough to give an example of the work that we've done on it. But before we get into looking at the app, I want to jump real quick into just a little bit of a presentation so we can set the stage for the app. So hold on while I jump over to that. All right, so the app's called Vanguard Assessments. It's a custom mobile app that helps streamline data collection. So the purpose of the app, a lot of different campuses, buildings, things like that. The people that are in charge of those need to verify that lighting conditions meet certain specifications for safety and to be up to code. And the way this works is people have to go through and audit these locations. They'll have a light meter, they'll have a GPS, they'll have a clipboard, flashlights, because as you imagine, these audits have to be done at night. So they have to go through these situations and audit these locations. So some of the audit process roadblocks, as I mentioned, there's a lot of equipment that's required for the auditor to carry and have on hand. Again, the audits are done at night. So again, the extra equipment, the flashlights, things like that. The reports must be compiled afterward, adding an additional time to the investment. So if you take all the time that it takes to go to every location that has to be audited, not only after you've got it written down on a clipboard with all the information, then you have to go back to Google Maps or something like that and place every single location on that map for the report. And then sharing those reports can be kind of challenging. Making sure that the right people see the report and have what they need can be tough. So what's the fix then for this that was proposed and that we've been working on? Well, use a mobile application to collect all the data instead of a clipboard and paper and a flashlight. So if you imagine, our smartphones are very powerful these days. We have a lot of the information, a lot of the data that we need, and the ability to compile that data at our fingertips. So why not take advantage of it? So instead of carrying around an external GPS, we can use the GPS on the device to help access the location data. We can have forms to enter the required data, so different screens that will allow the data to be input. And then the data that gets input is able to actively and on the fly generate the report that's going to be used. So what's some of the benefits of this? Well, there's an extreme time saving. Previously with the clipboard, after the audit was done, all that information had to be put on a map. With the app, where we're collecting GPS, we can use map software on the server side to start compiling these reports. And so now when you're done with the audit, you're done. You don't have to sit down and put the data into a map. So we can get accuracy, so less errors from transcribing data from the field. So if you think about it, you're standing in the dark, in the cold, with a flashlight, a clipboard, and a pen. You're trying to write all this down. It can be kind of challenging, but if you've got your phone, you've got your app there, you're able to put the data in, you're able to see easily because your phone is lit. You can verify the data before you save it. So just all kinds of accuracy improvements. It's easier for the auditor. You don't have to carry your flashlight necessarily, or if you do, it's not directly being used while you're writing this down. You can minimize some of the GPS and other hardware that you're going to be carrying with you. And it's easier to share the interactive report because you can just share it with the link with all those people that need to have it, rather than like printing out copies of the report and sending it around. All right, so we just finished up the presentation here, so we're going to jump into the walkthrough real quick of the app. All right, here we are in my development machine looking at the applications. On the left here, we have in the browser, so this is kind of the user dashboard, the report dashboard. And then on the right here, we have the Android app inside of an emulator instance. It's just a little bit easier to record this inside of the emulator. I can choose locations easier and kind of manage everything all in front of me here. So as you can see on the user dashboard here on the left, we don't have any assessments that are created as well on the Android app over here on the right. So let's go ahead and create an assessment. So we get an assessment location, the ambient light. This helps in the reporting, not necessarily pertinent in the general case. It's just how the data that the app needs to collect. So let's use USU, the engineering building, because that's where I went to school. It's a good place. We can check the ambient light. Since we're all just making this up, let's say that it's half moon. And I'm not going to add any comments. We can just save this assessment. So you'll see inside of the app here, we've got an assessment for USU Engineering for November 2nd. If we come over here to the browser, refresh this, we'll see the same thing. There's a location, USU Engineering. We know the ambient light and the day that this was created. So let's jump back over to the app. And actually, we don't want to create another assessment. We want to create a location. So if we select the assessment, USU Engineering, we'll see that there's no locations created yet. So let's go ahead and add one over here. So this location name, we're going to be close by to the engineering building. So we're on the northeast of the engineering building. Location type, this is where there's some specifications for the code of what it is. Right now it looks like we're kind of on a sidewalk, so we're going to say pedestrian walkway. You'll see that as we were adding the location name and selecting the type, the GPS coordinates were loaded using the app itself to load the GPS data. So we're just going to put in a value for the foot candles. We're going to just say it's 10 foot candles. That's just a measurement of light. Again, not necessarily useful for the general case, but it is information for this app specifically. So we can go ahead and save this location. And you'll see now here under USU Engineering, we have a northeast location. So let's jump back over to the browser and let's select USU Engineering, because that's the assessment we're currently working with. And if you look here, you'll see kind of by the engineering building, by a bunch of sidewalks, we now have this pin called Northeast. And if we click on it, it actually pulls up the data for us. It says when it was created, the location type, the ambient light for the assessment, and then the lux reading, which is the metric version of foot candles, which is the imperial form of light. All right, so we have this. We're seeing that. Let's hop back over into the app and let's create a new location. We're going to create one on the southeast side now. Let's pull up the location type. We're going to say that this is a pedestrian walkway again. And for this, we're going to pull up a reading. We're just going to give it 1 foot candles. Again, this data is just all arbitrary. I'm sitting at my development machine. I'm not out in the field, but it's just some data that we're entering to see how the app is used in handling the data. So let's save this point. So we'll see now we have 2 points here. Let's go ahead and refresh this report. Oh, you'll see now we've got 2 points. We've got the northeast point and we've got a southeast point. The southeast point maybe not be quite exactly where I'd put it in the location setup in that emulator, but we still have the data. We've noticed here we've got a green pin and we've got a red pin. So what the green pin means is that this is an acceptable amount of light for this location, and the red pin means that it is an unacceptable amount of light for this location. So let's go ahead and enter just a couple more locations so that we can look and see how this is set up. So I just updated the location inside of the emulator. This is going to be the west entrance. And we got a location type. We might go to vehicle or building facade. Or pedestrian entry. Let's say it's a pedestrian entry. Again, I'm not well versed on all of the data types, so I'm just kind of putting them in so we can see. Let's give this one maybe a reading of 20-foot candles. So we see we've got our west entrance added here. So let's jump over to the map. We'll see we've got a west entrance down here. Oh, we just fine-tune the location a little bit. So again, we got a pedestrian entry, the dates created, and the light reading available for all of these. So I just dragged those pins. So let's refresh this. And if we look, having dragged those pins, it actually updated it on the inside of the assessment so that we, using the computer, we can fine tune the locations that we get from our phones. So I'm just going to drop in one more. Actually, I didn't update the location on the emulator, so let's update location real quick. And we'll add one more on the north entrance. We'll say it's a pedestrian entry, and the location. We'll put in another light reading, and we will save this. So if we pull our map up again, refresh our map, we can zoom in a little bit. Oh, I accidentally moved that one. So if we see here now, we have some points that were added via the app over here on the right, and we're able to update them here inside the map. We can see, we can fine tune the positions, and as we can go through, we can look through each one of these locations that has been set from within the app. So this map is getting generated in real time, as you can see. If you see here, we have this button that says share link. So if I click on this, it says that the link was copied to my clipboard, and I can put this in another tab, and this actually opens up the link inside of the report view that you could then, if you're the technician that's collecting the data and fine-tuning the pins, once you've gone through and you've done that, you can click share this link, and now you have a link that can be shared to anybody that you need to report to, or any of the technicians that might actually be doing some of the work from the audit and the assessment. So there you have it. There are a couple, just a walkthrough of the different components of the application, the Android app, as well as the browser application that helps fine-tune the report and then share the report with those around you. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out. I'd be glad to discuss the app itself. I'd be glad to discuss the development of any fieldwork apps or any just overall business automation apps that you might be interested in. Thanks for watching. Again, this is Kendall with High Creek Software.